It's May 2nd. Welcome on into Daily Cards Live here on ClavesOnline.com. A rare post-game edition of the show today. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey, and we are presented each and every day by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Royal Banks of Missouri. Rammer, was a quick one in today's makeup game that they even moved up 3 hours, and the Cardinals come out on top 1-0. Before getting on the plane and heading across the state to Kansas City for a 2-game series tomorrow and Wednesday.
I don't know how it affected actual attendance with that extra hour. May have been a little bit, but it was a smart thing to do. The rain started coming right as the game ended. It was a good plan, well executed by the stadium folks. They did a really good job. And Steven Matz and the Cardinal pitching did an even better job, and it was a good, crisp, not typical because we don't see it enough, but a couple of veteran starters going at it, and both bullpens did a good job too.
Yeah. By the way, I saw that if you had tickets to the game today, and you had tickets to the game, the originally scheduled game, you get a voucher for another game later this year because of the multiple date, time, all the changes that you have to go through.
That's
so
nice.
if you had a ticket today, or to the one 2 weeks ago and you weren't able to make it, well, hold on to that and make sure to keep checking that Ballpark app and see what you can do about a ticket for a later date. So, yeah, Paul Goldschmidt with the home run in the first inning with 1 out on Zach Greinke, and you're seeing him to slowly start to figure it out. He homered in the game on Friday night against Madison Bumgarner, and then went 0 for 6 before getting the day off yesterday, and got the home run today. Also, I mean, if you want to look positive signs offensively, Andrew Knizner about put one out too, but Michael A. Taylor with an outstanding catch on that in the 5th inning too, robbing a home run from Knizner.
Knizner's hitting the ball hard, not just because of that one, but he didn't get a lot to show for it in the stat book, but he's swinging the bat well, and the Cardinals were comfortable as the backup and to Yachty, and now he is I think he'll play more than 50% of the games catching, and before it's all said and done, Yachty may just catch Adam Wainwright, which is kind of all he wanted to do anyway this year.
I think you are seeing more and more of that. The shift, the focus towards Andrew Knizner is very apparent this year. And when you look at how much fun Yachty's having in the dugout, too, I don't think there is a whole lot of pressure that Yachty's putting forward on Marmol this year or the rest of the coaching staff to play more. I think he's out there to just enjoy himself in this last season. He's got his best friend back there in the dugout, and he's got Wainwright to hang out with all season too. So you are seeing them just enjoying their, I guess, journey off into the sunset in their last season. And if they keep winning, then you can have that kind of fun as the year goes on. As long as everybody's producing in those roles, you have that too. And let's talk about that because we do have some roster moves to talk about. But first, as far as the production goes of this team, you saw Harrison Bader leading off today with Tommy Edman getting the day off due to the injury and possibly a scheduled day off for him too, as he had played every inning of every game so far, the only Cardinal to do that so far this season. But you're seeing Tyler O'Neill struggle this year. You saw Harrison Bader has been taking so many good at-bats, and he did well in that second hole yesterday in the game when Paul Goldschmidt got the day off. Are we close to seeing a major transition in this Cardinal lineup?
I think this will always evolve. Is there a particular transition you're talking about?
I mean, I think we are very close. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens tomorrow. If Tommy Edman's available to come back, to see Edman 1, Bader 2, and then you see Goldschmidt 3, Arenado 4, and then I don't know what you do from there. But with Tyler O'Neill continuing to struggle and Bader hitting well, if you move Bader up to the 2 spot and you start moving other guys around, O'Neill falls quite a bit.
Well, actually, I don't think so. Other than those 4 guys and the aforementioned Knizner, Who else would you have hit fifth? You might as well have O'Neill there.
Albert.
Come on. Against whom?
If right now, I mean, Dickerson again 0 for 3 today, so he's batting 186. If Dickerson's not gonna hit righties, maybe Pujols gets more at bats against righties.
But he hasn't hit righties either.
That's going to bring. I mean, so this is going to bring me up to another thing to bring up here in a second. But O'Neill goes down to fifth, but if Pujols is batting, O'Neill goes down to sixth. I mean, sure. Where? Okay, so that's falling from 3 to 6 in the lineup. Significant.
I guess so. Before he got hot last year, he was hitting behind Arenado, and then he got hot, and they moved him up, and he got in between those two big hitters, and he was the best hitter on the Cardinals the last half of the season. But yeah, I don't think it's a I don't know if it's necessarily headline stuff, and I think O'Neill, I think he'll be fine. But yeah, if you got hot guys and you want to bunch them up, I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that move you're talking about is not oh no, look what we have to do. I think it's, hey, let's get our hot guys all bunched together and see if we can get some big innings going. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think although it's kind of nice when you have a set lineup and you know what everybody's going to do, but that doesn't happen much anymore. And with all the metrics and matchups that are available, even if you had the same 9 guys against certain matchups, you would probably move them around a little bit. I think it's the nature of the game to move guys around, and on a given night, who gives us the best chance to win and where. So I'm okay with that.
As we talk about production, earlier today, the rosters went from 28 down to 26. The Cardinals had sent Packy Naughton back down to AAA. They optioned him down there, and they designated Aaron Brooks for assignment. And with the pitching needs all around baseball, we'll see where he ends up. But they came out and they flat out said it was because of production. It was because of production that there are guys on the team. Palante probably is your number one example of a guy who is in the big leagues right now and is producing. Therefore, Brooks became, he became able to. You're able to shift, designate him for assignment. So if the Cardinals,
well, he wasn't good. That's the way it's supposed to work, right?
Okay, so if production means you lose your job, and you have your left-handed hitting DH hitting 183, you have your shortstop hitting 138, where does this term for production, how deep are we going to go with it? Outside of going, hey, you know what? The guy that we brought over from Japan that hadn't pitched in the big leagues in a few years, he wasn't producing, so we ship him out. Okay, who else? Who else that isn't producing do we start to look at possibly cutting ties with? And Nolan Gorman right now has hit another home run down in AAA. He leads all of AAA, all of minor league baseball in home runs right now. And Ali Marmol talked about knocking the door down in AAA. I mean, Nolan Gorman's standing at the door with a sledgehammer right now.
Okay. There are several things there that you're running together that I don't think.
And I agree that there are, but when you say one thing, if you're going to talk about production being there for one guy, it's got to be there for the whole organization, right?
In general terms, yes, but there are too many specifics here that you're using to support your argument. First of all, you had to cut 2 people. You're not going to cut guys that are producing.
Right.
So who are you going to cut? You had to. That by rule, you had to cut 2. So you cut the 2 worst guys. I don't think that's we don't need the Zapruder film to break down to figure out where the conspiracy is on that. Major League Baseball says you go to 26. 2 worst guys, you're out.
I mean, you can make an argument those weren't the 2 worst guys on the team right now through the first month.
You would lose the argument. You could make it, but you'd lose it.
Okay. You got a shortstop hitting 138.
But wait a minute. Then you don't have anybody on your bench. You're not gonna. They had to cut 2 guys down. You're not going to go with 3 guys on three position players on your bench. The pitchers is what they had to cut.
Okay.
Now, but to your point, when does a lack of offensive production start to cost guys first at bats, second of all, a position on the big league roster? That is a great point, and I'm with you on that. When does that happen? I think if you can tell me what Dylan Carlson and Dickerson and Pujols and DeYoung will be hitting on Memorial Day, I think I could give you some pretty good answers. And the same thing with Nolan Gorman at AAA. If you take who's hitting the worst, and who's producing the worst offensively on the whole team?
DeYoung.
Just give me a name.
DeYoung.
So DeYoung's out. You bring Gorman up. Still not a spot for him because he can't play shortstop. Edman hasn't taken a ground ball at short in 2 years. You could DH him and put Dickerson on the bench, and I'd be okay with that, by the way. I'm fine with that. Yeah. But understand that each move has an equal and opposite move.
How much stock do you put into Edman taking any ground balls at shortstop with how much the shift plays into the way defenses are aligned these days?
First of all, there's no doubt in my mind he can play shortstop.
Right.
But and he'll probably be damn good at it. But if you haven't played there in a couple of years and you got to kind of get loose at the big league level, you're probably asking for some problems, and you've, at least for the time being, weakened yourself at two positions. But if they did it tomorrow, I'd be okay with it. I'm just saying that as fans, we should think these things through. This guy goes here. Okay, what happens to that guy? And then where does that guy go? I think you could make just as good an argument, although I wouldn't propose this, but I'm trying to look at it not just from who I like on the team. Dylan Carlson's really struggling. He's only 23 years old. If it's Memorial Day and he's still not hitting, maybe he's the guy. And Corey Dickerson plays some outfield and Gorman can come up and DH. I think there are a couple of options in that realm you can do. Here's what's funny. When the Cardinals won in 1982, and when they won their pennants in the 60s, they were carrying shortstops that couldn't hit their weight. But they were so good defensively that you got production from the whole rest of your lineup. You could do it. If everybody in the Cardinal lineup was hitting, you could carry Paul DeYoung hitting 200. You really could. But half of your lineup's not hitting at all. And that's when you say, we can't carry all these sub 200 batting averages.
Let me ask about this guy because it was another guy that was cut today from his team. He's a left-handed bat. Robinson Cano is out there. If Corey Dickerson isn't hitting for you as a left-handed DH and you're not ready to bring Nolan Gorman up yet, hey, you only have to pay Robinson Cano the league minimum because the Mets are paying the other $44 million on his contract. Is that a name that you kind of look at?
Well, in the Cardinals circumstances, probably not. Has he produced more than Dickerson?
He hasn't. So. No.
So,
but that's one where you bring him in. You know what? Hey, you give him a 2-week chance. He doesn't hit. Okay, see ya. On to the next one.
Then you've lost Dickerson. I would just soon wait until you think Gorman is ready.
Yeah. I'm ready for that too.
There's any reason to complicate things.
Yeah, and that's just, it's just a name that's out there, and any team out there looking for a left-handed bat, you have a guy out there who at one point would have been a future Hall of Famer, not anymore, but his name is still out there, I guess.
Yeah, so. I think the Cardinals, I just don't think they're in that market right now. Mm-hmm. I think they've got all the extra pieces they need at Triple and Double A. And as the summer wears on, they'd go look there. Probably there are enough answers. I I think that's just my gut feeling on it.
Yeah. We will see what they do in Kansas City as they head there for a 2-game series before heading out west to San Francisco for this weekend. We'll be back here tomorrow around the same time for a preview of the first of 2 games over in KC.
I'm going to take. I'll just go ahead. Joe tomorrow will say it's 3 games in against the Royals. We need the sweep. So there's Joe. There's my teaser for Joe leading off tomorrow.
You know what? You got the sweep in the 1-game series today, so it'd be nice to get a sweep in the 2-game series over there in Kansas City for the next 2. So yeah, I'd be fine with that. Hey, if you haven't checked it out yet, 5460, the Joe West podcast, debuted today. Go find it wherever you get your podcasts and check it out as Mike Claiborne hosts that show each and every Monday. New episodes of that will be available to you through Podcast Heat, but available again wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Google, Spotify. It's all right there. 5460, the Joe West podcast. Rammer, this show brought to you each and every day by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Royal Banks of Missouri.
Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Call them. Mortgage rates are going up. Don't be caught behind and then kind of be stuck and have to wait again for the market to change. 314-212-1500, mortgages, and, of course, refis at Royal Banks of Missouri.
He's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. Cardinals again win this afternoon, 1-0. Paul Goldschmidt home run in the first inning was all they needed. The bullpen came in and did their job after Steven Matz went 6 scoreless for the Cardinals. We'll be back with you tomorrow as the Cardinals head out west to Kansas City for another episode of Daily Cards Live, presented each and every day by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Royal Banks of Missouri. And hey, we're right here on ClaibsOnline.com.
At St. Louis Acura, we have over 330 pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. And all of them are covered by our St. Louis Acura Promise and backed by our Better Business Bureau A+ rating and 30 years in business. We also service all makes and models of vehicles, including glass and bumper repair, paint touch-ups, and full mechanical services from one of our 24 technicians. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you, no matter what vehicle drives you.